Yeah.
And let's talk about that exclusive that you did. I believe it is G.I. Joe Real American Hero 212. And it's
It
a
is. In fact, I've
very,
got since I knew we were going to be doing some comics talk here, I've got like a whole bin full of like all my comics down here. So if we need visual aid at some point in this, of course I'm failing you right now by saying that because there's like a million books in this box. But okay, there you go. This one. So yeah,
yeah, let's
212.
talk about that one because that one's the most interesting because I
Yep.
believe this was your first exposure into G.I. Joe from actually doing a cover. It holds a very unique record of 280 characters on
Yep.
it. And what was that like and really going all the way out for it? Your first G.I. Joe comic that you worked on, holding the record. I think it's still the record from my
I
understanding.
believe so. Yeah.
So how did
Well,
this all come about and everything in between?
I had wanted to work on GI Joe forever, and when I went to art school, that was kind of my whole end game was I was going to work on GI Joe. I mean, like that was just that was my destiny, right? Like there was no question in my mind about this, except when I graduated, like GI Joe was already kind of starting its decline at retail, and there wasn't any opportunity there really, and like I was endlessly harassing Hasbro to try and get a job there, but I when I saw that the comic was maybe a different avenue to approach, I started trying to get my way in there, and wasn't really making much headway. And then finally, kind of got the idea that well, maybe if we partnered with somebody to do an exclusive cover, that would be my sort of backdoor entry point into getting into to do a GI Joe comic. And if I could just even get that just one time, that would get me enough notice that I could kind of make something out of it. So I talked to IDW, we talked to Emerald City, we thought there might be a partnership there to do this. And then when I started talking to Neil, he said, well, what did you have in mind? And I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, so I just started reaching out of the bag of tricks, like, what's the most like ridiculous over the top thing you could do that's going to garner attention? Well, I don't know, draw every character ever. And, about 5 minutes into that decision, I started to regret it. But, you know, I still really have a fondness for that. I mean, it took 34 days to draw that. Um, so but obviously, here we are years later still talking about it. So obviously, it was a good decision in hindsight, and it led to me doing quite a bit of work on the GI Joe comic and toy line. So it was a good move all around.